going to start doing the photo collage. From the sketches that I did, we broke it down into, or I broke it down into two kind of options. One was going to be about the artistry, the entertainment, the creativity was the part that I was acknowledging, and then on the other side, I was going to talk about the landscape and specific Plympton, where I'm based at the moment, and split it into those two options. You can do many more, but this is just the way that I'm going to try and pull it together. So the way that it's going to, and under here I've got the acrylic paint. I've got a Barbara Kruger exhibition I went to that was pivotal, Michael Fowler Centre for Entertainment, Guardians of the Galaxy as well for movies and entertainment, sketches that I've done, Catherine Mansfield, ink blots, and on my drawing I was going to have the ink and the acrylic as the main staple, but I found this image from a kind of dance party performance thing that was in Wellington, and I'd done up this mandala, so I'm going to use that because I think the floral image will relate to the landscape on the other side, so it'll be another thing that possibly tries to link them together or help them. So on Illustrator, I've got this image here. Because it's an Illustrator, I can just drag around it and select it all, and I can copy it, and I can go to Photoshop and paste it, Command V, and if I pasted it as a smart object, and then I can scale and play around with it later on. So I'm just going to move it down a wee bit, move it into the center. I'll see the smart guide pop up, so I know it's horizontally in the center. And I'll hit enter or return. That's going to make that happen. Now it's still got the little icon over here in the layers, so it's still I can still sell that it's a smart object. So I've got all these other options here. This one, I'll show you again how to do a mask selection. Very, very easy with an object like this. Usually we drag around it with the object select tool, but you'll find as long as you pick a selection tool up the top here, you'll have select subject, and it will try and do it automatically. In this case, it does a pretty good job. I'm just going to get the object selection tool. I can probably do this with any selection tool, but I'll just use this one. I just want to knock out that hole. So if I hold down Option, drag around that, it's going to knock that little element out as well. I know I can come over here, I can hit the quick mask now, and there it is, it's all masked out. Now in this case I'm actually going to turn this into a bitmap. So I'm going to go Image, Mode. I have to change it to grayscale first if it's a color image. I'll discard that. Image, Mode. Now that it's grayscale, won't let me take it to a bitmap, and it's because I need to flatten the image. You probably can't see that menu, but once the image is flattened, then I'll be able to go Mode, Bitmap, discard the other channels, and everything's going to work out. Now I've said if the input is whatever it is here, you should be at least 3 times higher. You can play around with this a wee bit. I'm going to take this down a wee bit. I'm just going to take it down to 400. Halftone screen, and I'll go OK. This is, I'm going to change that to 45, just the angle of the screen, because it's going to be line. And the frequency is how fine it is, how detailed. So if the number goes lower, it will become coarser. The number becomes higher, it will become finer. So when I look at this and I blow it up, I can see what that screen is. Actually, I'm just going to go Command Z. That will take you back to the start of the bitmap process. Pick bitmap. And I'm going to make it a bit lower and make it maybe 5. So it's a little bit coarser. So now with this, I can just select all, Command A, copy it, cut it. I can close it and not save it. Don't need to worry about it now, just to give myself a bit more memory space. Over here, I'll go to the channels. I'll make a new channel. Wait, one too many. And Command V, which pastes it. But if I go down Command minus in the window, Command T, I can see, because I can't really see much, and it's just because I had that high resolution in it of 400, it just scales it up really largely and drag it right up there. Now if I go Command 0 to fit it in the window, I can switch the eye on beside RGB, and then I can move it around and see how it's going to work out. I'll scale it a wee bit more. And I'm going to have it there, so it's kind of popping out of the bottom a wee bit. That's good. I'll switch off the red. I can see there's black here, so I'm just going to get rid of that, match it up with everything else. Command T, so all I did was fill it with a background color that was white. And now I can go Command I, because it's the white bits I want to fill. Hit the selection tool down the bottom, go to layers. I'll make a new layer and I'll pop it underneath the other one. And now with this blue color, I'm just going to pick one off the swatches. I can go Option Delete. Oopsie. Make sure I'm on the right layer. Option Delete. Command D. And there we go. I've got my color thing in here. I can add a mask. So just here, click a quick mask. And then I know that if I get a black paintbrush, I'm just going to pick a general brush with black, and obviously the opacity has to be up at 100 if I want to knock it right out. I can paint this away. I can decide where, coming through these elements, I can see it and where I can't. So let's go on to the next one, and we'll just pack a few of these elements in. So there's the Michael Fowler Centre. This one needs a mask, so I'm going to see if I get a selection tool. What happens if I go select subject on this one? It does, I quite like it. It's pretty interesting cutout. There's a bit here where a bit of the roof is missing, so just with the paintbrush selection tool, I can shift, click, and just fill that bit in. I quite like the way that that's come out, so I'll hit the quick mask. And now we're going to go through the process again. Now this one, if I add in an adjustment layer that's a solid color, it should work it differently. Now if I go image mode, grayscale, and I merge it and I discard, now go mode, and I can go to bitmap. I don't have to do that flattening. It's going to ask me, and it's just because there was white before, or white underneath it. Earlier we had transparency in the background, and so I actually had to go and physically flatten it. I'm going to leave it on 45. I'll leave it on 5 as well. There we go. So I'll go Command All, or Command A for Command All, or Select All, and I'll Command C, copy it, come back to my main image. I'll make a new layer down here. I'll put it above the acrylic paint, and I'm just going to go paste, or actually I need to go into the channels, new channel, Command V, is pasted it, and again, because of the resolution, this image is going to be huge. So I'll go down, Command T, Command minus, I'll go right down again so I can see this end, and I'm going to drag it in. It's going to go through and make that transformation. There we go. Command 0 is going to fit it back in the window. I can, again, remember I can switch on the eye so that I can see how this is working. Command T, I'm just going to make it a bit bigger. I'll hit return. If I switch off the eye beside RGB so I can see the channel, okay, there's a couple of bits I just need to fill with white. White's the background color, so Command, delete, Command delete. And Command I to invert it, select, go to my layers, and I can fill it with the same color. Option, delete, Command D to get rid of that selection, and I'm going to try multiply. Just where the images cross, I can get this kind of nice dynamic. Now I'm going to leave it with the image going behind it. I don't mind it, it's not too obtrusive. I like the way that it comes a little bit here. So I'm just going to leave that. So we've got the founder center, so I can just close that. I don't need to, I want to save it. I'll get the sketch. So this one I've done before. If I have a look, I've cut it and copied it. I've put it into the channels. You can see that there. I've inverted it, loaded it up, and then I've got this. And the white behind it shows it. So I've already kind of clear cut it. So I can just now take that layer and I'll drag it across. I have to do the usual thing, Command minus, Command T, scale that down to how I want it, move it around, hit return. I can fill it with the color this time. To keep the transparency, I need to hold the shift key down, so Alt or Option, Shift, delete. I'm going to enlarge up and do the same thing. I'll put it on multiply. And if there's bits where I don't like it going behind the image, I just add a mask and I mask them out. So I don't really want those bits up there. I might leave this little one here. I don't want these funny little bits, but I'm okay with that coming through a little bit. These ones I'll leave. Maybe I'll just take out the back end of that pen, and this text down here is a little bit fractured. Okay, so I've got that. So what else have I got here? Oh, I've got the wolf one. I did the same thing. I copied it, I put it in the channels, I inverted it and loaded it up. So I've got this one here, so it's already done. This time, rather than the sketch, I'm gonna take the silhouette. I quite like that shape, so I'll copy that. New layer, edit, paste, and there we go. We can see it there. Command 0 just to fit that back in the window. And now if I drag, here we go, and I'll try filling it with the same color. Option or Alt Shift to keep transparency, delete, and I've got that color. This one might be quite a nice one because it's solidity, to give a multiply or some other kind of function to it. We'll just go with multiply at the moment, and I can shuffle that around and scale it further if I want. So we have, we've got an image of Catherine Mansfield. So there's this one where it's already kind of been masked. So this one I'll do a dot screen with as well. Image mode, grayscale, yep, we merge it, we discard the color information, we change it to a bitmap, flatten it, yep, and we'll leave the screen at that. This time I might try it even a little bit lower. I'm going to go for 2. Okay, so quite a coarse screen. It looks, you can see it's actually got lines through the background, so I'm going to go Command Z. What that says to me is that this isn't pure white. So I'm just going to go Command L for the levels. You can see that big line there, just stopping it from being white. So I'll go OK. And now when I do the same thing, whoops, bitmap, okay, go through to, okay, it doesn't have it going through the background now. So I'll select all, I'll copy it or cut it, don't save, I don't really need to, and this one I need to go through and I need to do the, because I made the bitmap, make a channel and put it through this process. Command V to paste it, Command minus to go down, so that when I go Command T I can see the whole, the drama of the whole image. I'm going to leave it like that for a minute. I can put on the eye so I can see it. And I might leave it big like that actually. Command I, load that selection, go into the layers, and I'll make new layer. It's still underneath the mandala, and I'll Alt Shift. And with this, I can put it on multiply, maybe with the opacity. I'm going to try taking that down a notch. What can be really interesting with this now is if I add a mask onto it. A lot of these lines are quite defined because of the screening, so it can look quite good when you knock elements out. So black is my foreground color. I'll get this, Shift, I'm holding down the Shift key, and I can just keep a nice straight line and knock some of this stuff out, or maybe even start here and knock that out, or take certain lines or elements out. Now you can start to play with it and mess with it a little bit and eat back into it. For instance, if I come up here, I think I created my own brush, and I'll make that bigger. Make sure black's my foreground color. Whoops. Okay, and you can kind of see that's eaten into the image a wee bit. I'll do it again. So just make sure black color there. Maybe I'll make it a bit smaller. And I've also got the functionality here that's obviously not switched on of scattering. You know, trying to change this stroke, the shape dynamics, changing the angle, so when you push it's not always trying to do exactly the same thing. Not sure if I like that or not, but we'll leave it as is. It's not too bad. So the wolf, we've used that. I'll get rid of that one. And what we've got the Guardians and Barbara. So I'm gonna bring this image in. So I'm just gonna. I don't even need to select and cut. I can just move it. Find my image. Actually, what? Sorry. Move that out of the way. Mess that up a wee bit, and I'm just going to drag the image and drop it. Here we go. Command T. Scale it. I'm going to rotate it a wee bit. I like having the iShop sitting there. I might just grab these two, group them. So Shift, Mandela, and the iShop. Command T. Scale them both down a wee bit. I'm starting to miss that kind of negative space a wee bit. Keeps jumping over. Alright, so we'll go with that. iShop, just pull it down a bit so we just see that iShop bit in the frame. Guardians. Okay, so I'll change this to I'll go through the bitmap process. Yeah, image mode, grayscale, flatten it, discard it, bitmap. Okay, change it to 9. Oh, okay. Command Z, that's nowhere near fine enough. Sometimes you just have to try this process a couple of times. It'll depend on the initial resolution and stuff, but I'm going to go, okay, if that was 9, I'll go something like, I'll try 30. Okay, a nice fine line. So I like that one. So I'm just going to grab Rocket. I went a bit too far here, so I'll just Option, hold down the Option key and delete it. Copy. Back in here again through the channels. New channel. This time I'm going to start off with white, so Command Delete. Just because I know it's not a big square. So I'll start off with a nice clean background. Command D, Command I to invert it, make that selection, jump into the layers, and new layer, Option delete, Command D, Command T, lets me scale it a bit. Maybe I'll scale it a bit more. And with this one, again, multiply will give us a nice, you can see coming through some nice pockets there. And I can think about whether I want to dilute the opacity down or anything like that. But at this stage, it might be okay. I'm going to get rid of that one now. I won't save it. We'll go to Little People, this one here, and I'm just going to drag this across onto the image, and I'm going to put this one right up the top. I like the little figures coming in. Rather than trying to blend them into the image where it's starting to confuse with it, I might drop them down here a wee bit. Now I can start to play with them a little bit. So what I'll do is I'll say, okay, I'm going to make a new layer up above it, and I'm going to put a gradient fill in. So up here, if I click on the fill, and it looks like I've already done it, but if I click on this bottom option, it'll come up with an eyedropper, and I can click on whatever color I'm trying to sample. So I'll get the red. Actually, maybe I'll use the pink, and down this side it looks like I've used the yellow, but I'll just try it again. I'll get that yellow in there. It's a little bit brighter. I'll go, okay, so I've got colors that are being used in my image, so I'm just going to draw straight across here, and then I can go Option or Alt, get that symbol in between the two layers, and I'll click it. Then what I've got, as I can see, it's kind of adhering to that picture of the people, is I can try some of these options here. Multiply is probably going to be the screen and the light up. These ones, lighten and screen, that are going to be the most interesting, I think. Some of these darker ones are pretty good. Actually, I might go for pin light, and then what I can do is I can also dial down the opacity, get it so it's got a little bit of color coming through. And I'm going to try an element here where I put it up the top, and this time I change it to 100%. So this one's light, this one's darker, and so what I'm going to do is with this darker one, I'll add on a quick mask, so this one's at 100%, and then I can get a brush, just get a normal soft brush, and when I come up with this, I'm masking it so that this shows the lighter on here, so it's still got a bit of that colour. See, it's not completely normal, but I'm controlling it with the masking and kind of diluting it a wee bit. Now I can grab all of these, shift, click on them, just to maneuver them around, see if it does work, if it's right up here beside the image, or even across it or whether it becomes too conflicted. Let's just leave it there for the time being. Now, this doesn't quite stand out enough for me optically. I think I should grab those color images. So I'll have to grab these as well. Okay, got all of them. And I'm just going to use the arrow keys to shuffle it across a bit. This is the optics of getting the center. Even though it might have been centered, optically, because this sticks out, it's better to bump it over. So now I'm going to group all these blue ones. So I've clicked the top one, shift. Oops. So they're all selected. Now while they're selected, if I hit the folder, it's going to make me a group. So all of these, whoops, are in a group. I'm not quite sure what group 2 is. I must have bumped something. And what this will let me do is it will now let me come in here and make an adjustment layer, and the one I'm going to go for is hue and saturation. I'll Alt click it so it's just grouped with group 1, and now with these background blue images I can come in here and say, okay, I can colorize it. It's the blue. I can change the saturation up or down, so I can keep it quite bright, but I can lighten it. I can lighten it right off. Maybe I'll desaturate those colors a wee bit. And I can control it like that. I'm just going to lighten it a tad more. Okay, so we've got that, and the only thing that's not really working for me at the moment is this stuff down here hasn't worked out quite so well. So if I jump that open and I go into Catherine Mansfield onto the mask, I'm going to take more of that stuff out, and maybe I'm bringing it more in line with the edge of this acrylic container, and I'll leave it as that. So this has now got one of our images done, and so now we can go on and do the next one.